Right now at 10, a plane crashes in Pennsylvania. This as the federal agents continue recovery efforts in Washington, D.C. And members of the ice skating community are in mourning after the crash. A Madison native who trained with the victims is reacting. Plus, an update on a fatal crash in Dodge County. Why the sheriff says the accident should not have happened in the first place. That is all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Carlson. Eric Franke is off tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin tonight with a plane crash near Philadelphia. The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation. This as investigators get their first look at the critical black boxes from the fatal plane crash in Washington. Erica Brown reports.
First responders raced to the fiery scene moments after the Learjet 55 crashed near Northeast Philadelphia Airport.
Oh, my God.
Federal aviation officials say the small plane was en route to Springfield-Branson National Airport in Missouri and went down 30 seconds after takeoff.
I just see the plane is getting lower and lower and lower. It nipped the house. When it nipped the house, it hit a couple cars. Boom!
Several people were on board the aircraft, which hit several buildings and cars before bursting into flames.
It's going to be extremely difficult to find the failed part, if there is a failed part.
Injuries on the ground were also reported.
We're urging you to please stay away from the scene.
Here at Reagan National Airport, coordinated operations are still underway as investigators probe the cause of Wednesday's deadly mid-air collision. NTSB investigators recovered the black box data recorder from the U.S. military Black Hawk helicopter intact Friday while scouring the icy Potomac River.
We have a high level of confidence that we will be able to have a full extraction.
The breakthrough came just a day after officials located the flight data recorder from the American Airlines plane in good condition. The jet's cockpit voice recorder was also found.
We found that it had water intrusion. That is not uncommon.
Recovery teams are still trying to reach more than 20 people who perished when the two aircraft collided Wednesday. Navy barges are en route to the crash site near D.C. to help salvage debris. Erica Brown, CBS News, Reagan National Airport.
Also, the FAA has restricted helicopter travel near that airport to ensure safety. And 67 people died after that plane and helicopter collided over the Potomac, 6 of whom were members of the Boston Figure Skating Club. Our Tadesha Shaw talked to a Madison native who is part of that club.
And it was an absolute honor to share the ice with them and to be able to know them.
Monday would be the last day that Misha Mitrofanov would see 6 members of his skating family. Skating Club of Boston participated in a competition and training in Wichita, Kansas earlier this week.
Development camp skaters, they watch us skate to give them fuel to the fire or passion to see everything live, and then they have a camp afterwards.
16-year-old Spencer Lane and 13-year-old Jenna Hahn were figure skaters. 2 of their parents and 2 coaches from the Skating Club of Boston died in the mid-air collision in D.C.
We didn't know whether or not they would be on the flight. However, from talking with different skaters on Wednesday night, we figured out which skaters or which club members, best way to put it, were on the flight. And that's when we all tried to basically kind of formulate a plan of what to do next.
Mitrofanov is from Madison and said he had a close relationship with the young skaters.
Gina and Spencer, they were both invited to the development camp because of how amazing they were at such a young age. The potential that they showed was the reason why they got the invitation in the first place.
And he remembers his coaches as legendary.
Zhenya and Vadim, they dedicated their lives to the sport. They were world champions as a pair team back in 1994, where they won in Chiba, Japan. And Zhenya and Vadim, nothing but excellency was expected of them, and that's what they delivered every single time.
He also told me that the Boston community is mourning, placing flowers around skating rinks and hosting memorial events. Reporting in Madison, Tanasia Shaw, News 3 Now.
And thank you, Tanisha. Recently, President Trump took aim at the previous administration's diversity efforts in the hiring of air traffic controllers. The president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, though, says all controllers have to undergo a rigorous, years-long process before they can be certified. That includes an IQ test, medical screening, academy training, and simulator training.
You can hire 50,000 people, but 2 to 3 years from now will be the first time that you ever see one of those controllers actually make it to being able to talk to aircraft on their own. And that's less than 2% out of 50,000 that would make it through.
The FAA said in September the agency had more than 14,000 traffic controllers, but the head of the Air Traffic Controllers Union says there is still a serious shortage with only 10,800 people doing the job. And now we're wording the weather. Some snow expected this weekend. Record-breaking warmth will follow. We have Buddy Reeves on the patio with the forecast. Hi, Buddy.
Hey, Sarah. How are you?
I'm great.
Good, good. So back here on the weather patio, it is a little bit chilly out. So if you are heading out tonight, you may want to grab a heavier jacket than actually what I'm wearing right now. But today, take a look at these high temperatures today. 45 here in Madison. Normally for this time of year at the end of January, we are in the upper 20s, so we were well above normal. 51 out to the west and 49 in Prairie du Chien. We've cooled off a little bit. We're down to around 29 degrees here in Madison, 30 degrees in Janesville, and 28 for our friends up in Camp Douglas. Closer to Dane County, 31 in Middleton, 30 in Belleville, and 31 for our friends in Perry. Tonight, look for those temperatures to dip into the upper teens to lower 20s. The further west you go, it's going to be a little bit warmer where that cloud cover is going to move in ahead of time. And then for your day tomorrow, look for those clouds to increase as we head on in through the day. 34 degrees is your high here in the Madison area. Then we turn our attention to the future storm lineup, and this is for rain, snow showers late on Saturday. That Saturday system is going to stay mostly north of us, but we can't rule out seeing some patchy freezing drizzle here in the Madison area, but that snow again is going to stay to the north. And then next week is going to turn a little bit more unsettled, so we should get out of this snow drought that we're in right now. Coming up in Maine weather, we'll track these systems for you and let you know what you can expect. That's coming up.
Thank you, buddy. Now, due to the drier than normal weather, as we're talking about, all of south and central Wisconsin is under a moderate fire danger. Now, the Fitchburg Fire Department is suspending issuing burning permits. All outside open burning is prohibited until further notice. And we have an update now on a deadly crash in Dodge County. The driver who caused the incident is now facing several charges, including homicide. According to the Dodge County Sheriff's Office, the driver allegedly took a company vehicle without permission and drove it under the influence, also without a valid driver's license. He then drove through a stop sign and hit another vehicle. A 30-year-old passenger with this driver died at the scene, and 5 others in that other vehicle were also injured. Also in Dodge County, a man is in custody for allegedly stabbing another man. This incident happened Tuesday at a home in the town of Herman. Deputies say the stabbing stemmed from an argument between the two men, and the suspect faces charges of first-degree reckless injury and aggravated battery. He was also booked on an outstanding warrant. Another development with both of these incidents. According to the Dodge County Sheriff, both of the suspects were undocumented, and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, has been notified. The sheriff says, according to ICE, the 32-year-old driver of that truck was not in the country legally, and the agency had placed what's called a detainer on him. We asked him if it is common for his agency to report the immigration status of people he arrests.
When we have a criminal activity like this, yes, I will. I can't arrest somebody for a federal immigration violation. That's the federal government. But I will participate and I will cooperate with them and give them information.
A UW-Madison law professor says both the stabbing and the crash fall under the Laken-Riley Act that President Trump signed into law this week. According to the sheriff, the crash suspect should be in jail this weekend. And the Trump administration announced steep taxes on imports from Canada, Mexico, and China beginning tomorrow. The U.S. will levy a 10% tax on all imports from China and then a 25% tax on all goods from Canada and Mexico. The White House press secretary said the reason is based on border security. Mexico's Secretary of Economy warned, though, that U.S. consumers will face higher prices. That's on everything from vehicles and car parts to avocados. Canada's prime minister has threatened retaliatory tariffs on U.S. orange juice and steel.
If tariffs are implemented against Canada, we will respond. We won't relent until tariffs are removed, and of course, everything is on the table.
Late tonight, President Trump said he may reduce the tariff on oil from Canada to 10%. He also says he plans on, quote, doing something substantial with tariffs on the European Union. Well, after the break at 10, Buddy tells us about the warmth coming on Groundhog Day and a unique way to keep our roads safe. How one local community is using cheese, believe it or not, to prevent wintertime accidents.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Welcome back, everyone. This is a great story. Now, we've all seen the salt covering our roads and sidewalks and shoes and cars and inside during these Wisconsin winters, but some communities are taking an alternate approach to keeping the streets safe. Our Maddie Heim shows us.
Greene County is tackling snow and ice removal the Wisconsin way, using cheese to treat the wintry roads. Except it looks a little less like this and a little more like this.
See those little white lines on the road? Here it's cheese, Brian.
Chris Narveson is the Greene County Highway Commissioner.
In Greene County, we love cheese.
John Schumacher is the county's state patrol superintendent.
We're using liquid that it looks like it's more, but it's not. It's 23% salt.
Their trucks use the waste from nearby cheese producers as a treatment alternative, reducing the amount of salt on the roads.
There's so much cheese made in Greene County. We found a way we pick it up from the cheese factory and spread it on the road. It's a win-win.
They say the traditional salting method can be timely and ineffective.
If you drive on a road a day or two after a storm and you see all the rock salt still sitting there, it didn't do any good.
Salt doesn't actually melt the snow, it's the brine that melts the snow. So when you put salt down, you're making a brine in the road. So when we put directly the cheese brine on, it's effective right away.
And according to Wisconsin SaltWise, just 1 teaspoon of road salt can pollute 5 gallons of water, threatening the state's drinking water, plants, pets, and even infrastructure.
We can significantly decrease the amount of salt that we're using on the roads, and that's another win for the environment.
Reporting in Greene County, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Maddie. The Greene County Highway Department has gone through 75,000 gallons of cheese brine this winter alone. Well, for the first time in more than 25 years, the FDA has signed off on a new type of pain reliever. The drug is a 50 milligram prescription pill that's taken every 12 hours after a larger starter dose. The drug maker says the medicine creates no euphoria or high like opioids sometimes do. So doctors believe there's no potential for it to lead to addiction or dependence.
It's a totally new class of medication for pain, particularly for acute pain. Not everyone needs those potent opioids, even with moderate to severe pain. A large majority of patients need a weak opioid, and this drug is as good as weak opioid. So therefore, it can be very useful.
Doctors stress that the new drug may not be right for everyone or for every type of pain. The CEO for the drug maker says it doesn't eliminate all pain, but reduces it by about half. Well, a Beaver Dam man is sharing his story of determination. This is an inspiring one, too. Jim Brightsman moved to be closer to his daughter's family so that he could spend time with his granddaughter. However, his severe knee pain was an issue. Jim needed both knees replaced, but he wasn't a candidate because of his weight, which was more than 400 pounds at the time. So with the help of a doctor, physical therapist, and nutritionist, Jim was able to lose more than 170 pounds to be eligible for surgery.
It's great. I mean, just to be able to walk the dog for a half hour, an hour now with no issues, not having to stop every 5 minutes because there he is right now making his presence known. But yeah, life in general, I cannot explain in words, I don't think, how wonderful this whole thing has been, even though it's been a 3-year process.
Awesome. Jim says he can now do more activities with his granddaughter, who you see there, and having the type of active summer he hasn't been able to do for the past 25 years. I think I just used the word summer, but we have snow in the forecast. I didn't mean to do that. Let's check in with meteorologist Buddy Reeves. We will have summer someday.
Yeah, someday, but unfortunately, it's still several months away, unfortunately. But we do have a more active weather period coming up in the forecast. Let's take a look at the 3 things you need to know. Tonight, it's going to be mostly cloudy, or I'm sorry, mostly clear, I should say. And with those clear skies, we are going to dip down into the upper teens. This weekend, we do have a chance of seeing some mixed precipitation on your Saturday. This is later Saturday night into your Sunday. Most of this is going to stay primarily to the north, and then next week, we turn cooler, but then we also turn a little bit more unsettled as well. Let's take a look at Weather Track right now. You can see that storm system is still out to the west over near the Dakotas. That is going to continue to move across the area and increase our cloud cover and also our precipitation chances. And those precipitation chances are going to stay pretty much to the north of Dane County. So let's plan it out on Future Track starting around lunchtime tomorrow afternoon. We're going to see that snow kind of overspread portions of the central part of Wisconsin. Again, this is going to stay pretty much north of Madison, but if you're up near the Dells, up near Sauk City, you could see some light snow flurries. We can't rule out seeing some here in the Madison area as well. I wanted to stop it here at 5 o'clock in the morning. Alex had made a mention of this earlier. Even though you're not seeing any precipitation here, you do see some greens and some pinks. There is a chance we could see some patchy freezing drizzle in the morning on your Sunday. But the system is going to basically pull out of here pretty quickly, and then by the afternoon on Sunday for Groundhog's Day, we actually will see some sunshine as we head on into your afternoon. But for the groundhog in the morning, it's probably going to be cloudy, so I wouldn't expect him to see his shadow. Again, those snow totals are going to be less than an inch for the central part of Wisconsin. We won't see any accumulating precipitation here in the Madison area. For your weekend, 34 degrees. A little bit milder, and then 46 on your Sunday. So we could actually tie a record if the cloud cover gets out of here soon enough. We could actually get up into the upper 40s, but it is going to be breezy, so it's not going to feel as warm as you might think. So Future Track, we are looking at a system for next Wednesday. We look at 2 different models. There is the European model here, which is showing rain, some mixed precipitation, and then snow as you head up over towards Minneapolis. Then on the right is the GFS, which we generally refer to as the American model. This model shows more mixed precipitation closer towards Madison, with snow up towards central and northern Wisconsin and rain further down to the south. Now, with both, we do have a consensus that there is going to be less than an inch of snow on the American model and then less than an inch of snow on the European model. So we're going to continue to watch that as we head on into next week. But for Groundhog's Day, that'll actually be a pretty warm day at 46 degrees. We cool down, watch that system on Wednesday, and then temperatures moderate into the 30s.
The normal stuff.
The normal stuff. And hopefully, you know, we've gotten through the worst statistically for the coldest periods. Now we start to work our way back up.
All right, we'll take it. And polar bears, they climates, and scientists now know how they can roll around in the ice without getting it stuck to them. It took them this long to figure it out, but it's pretty cool. Researchers found the natural grease on polar bears' hair, made up of cholesterol and fatty acids, helps to repel ice. So that's how they slide down icy hills without getting coated in it. Engineers say the discovery could be used to treat new anti-icing products for industries that deal with the cold.
And coming up in sports, 8 is great. How Verona topped Middleton to take home another Big 8 title. That's next on News 3 Now. The Badger women's hockey team is in the middle of a tough 6-game stretch where they're skating against 3 teams ranked in the top 11. Last week it was St. Cloud State. Next week it's Minnesota, but remember Mark Johnson's squad is always in the present. So they're focused on Minnesota Duluth. Now Wisconsin trailed 1-0 in the first period, but they'd answer. Marianne Picard comes skating in and rips a shot off the net, off the rebound for the equalizer. This one stayed tied at 1 until overtime, and in OT, under a minute to go, Kirsten Sims breaks the Bulldogs' hearts. She lights the lamp off her own rebound to give Wisconsin the win in overtime, 2-1, the final. Way back in November, Minnesota came into the Kohl Center and left with 2 wins in the border battle. And it's now time for payback for the Wisconsin men. Mike Hastings' squad looking to return the favor in Minneapolis, a place last year where they swept the #1 ranked Gophers. And the Badgers got off to a great start, already up 1-0, and Gavin Morrissey pokes the puck through to make it a 2-goal game. Wisconsin led 2-0 after 1. But Minnesota would score 5 unanswered to win it 5-2 the final. Well, speaking of the Badger men's hockey team, on a more pleasant note, be sure to stop out to Pooley's Sports Bar in Madison on Monday to catch a live taping of next week's Wisconsin Huddle with special guest Ben Dexheimer. We'll start taping at 6:45. We hope to see you there. High school boys hockey, Verona hosting Middleton with a Big 8 title on the line. First period tied at 1. Wildcats work it to Bowden Brotzman, and he fires one past the tender to give Verona a 2-1 lead. But Brotzman wasn't done yet. Later in the period, he goes corner pocket to light the lamp again for his 3rd goal of the period. That's what you call a hat trick, and he lets them know about it. Verona goes on to win 6-5 to clinch a share of the conference crown for the 8th straight year. And the Bucks back in action, taking on the Spurs, and this is all you need to see to know how this one went. Wemby gonna save it from going over and back, and then he's gonna heave it up to beat the shot clock, and of course he banks it in. Wemby finished with 30 points, 14 boards, and 6 blocks. Bucks fall 144-118. We're back after this.
Gotta love this story. Just in time for Groundhog Day, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration released a list ranking its top most accurate weather groundhogs. This is real, people. The top ranked weather groundhog, New York's own Staten Island Chuck. A whopping 85% accuracy. Now, Sun Prairie's Jimmy sits at number 6. This is impressive, 60% accuracy. Now, Punxsutawney Phil barely cracked the list at number 17, a dismal 35%.
Who's voting on that?
It's not voting. I think it's how accurate they were based on,
okay.
I think it was like the next 30 days or something like that.
And
So there was more to the story. But
Goats and, Jimmy's in Sun Prairie. And
we got goats in Milwaukee.
Goats in Milwaukee, so there's, you got your choice of animal for predicting the weather if you want. So, but for tomorrow, look for it to be a little bit milder. Actually, this should be a little bit cooler. 34 degrees for tomorrow. 46 on your Sunday for Groundhog's Day, so it's going to be much warmer. And then we start to get into next week where it gets a little unsettled, and temperatures are going to be in the 30s.
Pretty much normal. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great night.